life. What? It can't be that bad, right? People have many pastimes and hobbies they like to do just to enjoy themselves or to simply distract themselves from the ongoing stress of daily life. Playing sports, fishing, making YouTube videos, playing video games, uneducated men telling women what they should do with their bodies, you know, the typical stuff. Playing video games puts the player in a unique position in comparison to the rest of these pastimes, where you can immerse yourself in whatever scenario or world the game decides to throw you in. It can be really invigorating immersing yourself into an idea that simply isn't possible in real life. So with that in mind, the concept of life simulators might seem a little odd on paper. I mean, why would you simulate life in a video game when you can just go outside? Here's the kicker though, since you're playing a video game, any simulation of life the developers decide to conjure up will be whatever they want it to be. It'll play by whatever rules they want to play it with, and therefore it isn't bound to the rules of reality. You can make life as stress-free or as stressful as you want it to be. Fuck! Although don't be surprised that people are hesitant to pick up your game about paying taxes or avoiding the IRS. Enter Animal Crossing. This game came at a time where going outside was an extreme sport and where the world was sick of staying at home, and Animal Crossing was the cure. You know, despite the title of this video, I still remember when this game came out so vividly. Even though it was only 2 years ago, it feels like it's been way longer. But it felt like such an important moment where every gamer united to talk about that rare fish they caught or showing off their islands, which were all way better than mine. Animal Crossing brought us some semblance of peace in a time where the world was chaos, and the experience I had for the first few weeks of this were unlike anything I'd played up until that point. New Horizons was the first and only Animal Crossing game I've ever played, and after 200 hours of playtime, I can confidently say, hey, this game's pretty good. But it's not without its flaws either, and if these flaws were fixed, it could have been a great, maybe even an amazing game. If you asked me what I would do to make a game about catching bugs, building landscapes, and socializing fun, I wouldn't have a good answer for you until I played this game. There's a very thin line you gotta walk to ensure a very slow-paced gameplay like this isn't tedious or boring, and I'd say overall the game does a good job of this. For a good percentage of my playtime, I was pretty engaged in doing small tasks and slowly but surely improving my island and making more money, and I was playing the game pretty much every day for a good while. You have to find a way to make monotonous tasks not feel like a chore by gaining the player's trust to ensure you're not wasting their time. The game has a very simple and effective way of making the player feel like they progressed, and by doing so they made tasks feel like a reward, so it doesn't feel like you're wasting their time, but all their efforts in attempting to do this don't land for me. I'm not going to say this game lacks content, but after playing it for as long as I have, it feels kind of empty and vapid whenever I decide to hop back in the game again. The feeling of emptiness isn't helped either by these boring ass villagers. In the older games, the villagers actually had a lot more personality and you could form a relationship with them, and it wouldn't be always so overtly positive either. It gave the older games a unique flavor that New Horizons just doesn't have. Just spicing up the villagers a little bit would give the game such a stronger sense of life and community that isn't really present in New Horizons, and your town would feel much more like a community instead of a bunch of random NPCs placed on a map just to fill space. I don't know what it is, but whenever I play this game, I just always get the feeling that there really isn't much to do. It just really ran out of steam for me a little bit after KK's concert, which technically means you beat the game even though it doesn't really have a proper ending. Maybe I'm just not the audience for this type of game. When it comes to video games specifically, unless I'm given some form of vague direction or goal, then usually I feel kind of lost on what I should be doing next. Yes, of course, there's still plenty of things to do that I could do to improve my island and things to work on. There's definitely things for me to do, but it doesn't feel rewarding for me. I guess none of the goals I can set for myself in this game aren't motivating enough for me to continue playing. I think the main reason I was so drawn in at the start of the game is because everything is new and progression feels a lot more substantial since things are changing so fast. There are other games that do a better job of this than Animal Crossing that are similarly open-ended. Minecraft and Breath of the Wild are both good examples of this. Both of these games are very open-ended and have a loose objective for you to accomplish. Those games also have complex mechanics and intricate worlds to keep you engaged throughout your entire experience, unlike Animal Crossing. The difference in these games, however, is that Animal Crossing is never intended to be finished, but forever expanded upon as the player wishes, which gives it a unique sense of replayability and relevance. At the end of the day, Nintendo could have added some meat to this game's bones to make it more engaging, just in case you need a break of the tedium of doing normal tasks. Honestly, I think it would have been pretty easy too. They could have just thrown in some mini games so you can earn bells, or even adding some type of map maker for online players to play at any time, kind of like Mario Maker. There's a lot of untapped potential in this game with online play that they could have tapped into, but Nintendo once again just failed to see what they could have been doing better with a lot of these games. That definitely could have further expanded life on a game that to me just felt short-lived, which is pretty ironic considering Animal Crossing's entire point is that it's not really supposed to end. Nintendo in general just has a really bad habit of ending support on games that could have had much more active communities online, you know, unless your name is Mario Kart. I'm aware that you can fast forward things just by turning the internal clock on your Switch just to get things done faster, but if players have to refer to outside methods into finding enjoyment out of your game, then maybe your game's design is inherently flawed or just needs improvement. Or maybe those players are just not the intended audience for this game. It's kind of hard to say. I don't know what it is with me in this game, but like, I kind of feel bad for criticizing it. Is that weird? Like, I enjoy this game and I'm perfectly fine with criticizing things I enjoy, but man, I don't know what it is. I kind of feel bad for talking down on this game. In a really slow burn like Animal Crossing, I think this game definitely could have used a little more excitement to keep things interesting for me. I enjoy this game and I still come back to it every month or 2 months or so, but I think it's already left the consciousness of most players who bought it in that first week, and it could have been a lot better. Unless you want to talk about Annie Cotty though. If she's in your island, this game's an automatic 10 out of 10 for me.